What's going on, everybody? Jeff Holiday here, and today we're doing a simple, quick little video on a little bit of news that I found, and it's very relevant to my channel because we talk about measles, we talk about vaccines, but also this is to provide us with a little bit of what's it called?
Schadenfreude.
Oh yeah. One more time.
Schadenfreude.
Right. Schadenfreude, because of who it involves. So take a little trip with me, and we're gonna check out this fascinating developing story. You see, there has been a cruise ship quarantined in St. Lucia because they have an outbreak of measles. Measles. And I can imagine no greater hell than being stuck on a floating prison effectively, knowing that there is a rampant, highly infectious disease going through the whole place and having to think like, wait, shit, did my parents actually get me vaccinated or not? Ugh. Now, so far, there hasn't been any confirmation of how many people have measles on board this cruise ship. And in fact, there's a bit of mystery as to what cruise ship it actually was, because for some reason, somebody wanted to keep the name out of the news. And we did find out whose it was, and if you've looked at the title of this, you already know. But before we get to that, I really wanted to make mention about something. And I've noticed this is a trend, and I really had to start questioning people's judgment. Back in 2017, there was this very famous case. Hundreds come down with stomach illness during a Royal Caribbean cruise. Now, this one was so bad. 332 cases of the illness were reported. Those affected by the short-lived sickness were treated by the ship's doctors with the over-the-counter medication. But here's a quote from Tracy Flores. "It was just terrifying. A passenger whose 15-year-old son came down with the illness told CNN affiliate. Just the amount of people that were coming in at the same time with vomiting and diarrhea and just looked ghastly." You got a big floating boat with people vomiting and shitting their pants all over the place. Okay, well, that's probably just an isolated incident, right? Right? I mean, that was 2 years ago. Oh shit, back in January of this year, 500 people are now sick on Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Gastrointestinal illness. Apparently the food is bad, but it obviously isn't just that, because now it's not just bad cooking, it's measles. So this makes me ask the question, why in the hell do people go on cruises? It sounds like a damn death trap to me, where I'm rolling the dice on whether or not I'm going to get a highly communicable disease or I'm going to be shitting my pants. No thanks. No, I'm good. I'll fly. It's fine. But as you can tell from the title of this video, one of the reasons why I find so much, oh God, what is it?
Schadenfreude.
Right. About this is because this is actually a Scientology cruise ship. It's the Freewinds. The Freewinds is very, very notorious because that has been one of their main vessels that they've used in their Sea Org, their private little navy. Now, it gets better. Now, keep in mind that Scientologists don't have really a stance on vaccinations. Not really. Their wackadoo belief systems that includes things like Lord Xenu does not in any way dictate whether or not you should or should not get vaccinated. But also part and parcel of that is there are some, obviously, Scientologists that are anti-vaxxers, and we could probably thank those ones in specific for this outbreak on board the Freewinds. But the main thing that I really wanted to use this as a vehicle for really talking about is the Freewinds and the Church of Scientology, which I have not had an opportunity to poop on in a while. The Freewinds in specific has a rather dark history, and I thought this was an excellent time to share that with you. Now, this is reported back in 2011, ABC Australia. Valeska Paris says the Church of Scientology's leader, David Miscavige, sent her to the ship when she was 18 to prevent her mother taking her away from Scientology. Oh yeah, woman imprisoned on the Freewinds. Miss Paris says she ended up being on the ship for over a decade and was unable to leave the Freewinds for the first 6 years without an escort. She also described the church's leader, David Miscavige, as a psychopath and says he should be put on trial. Ms. Paris is born into a Scientology family in Switzerland, and at the age of 6, she moved to Scientology's headquarters in the UK, where she was placed in its then youth wing, the Cadet Org. At 14, she joined the church's Elite C organization, signing a contract binding her for 1,000,000,000 years, a commitment that would override her bond with her family. Yes, they do make you sign a contract for 1,000,000,000 years. 1,000,000,000 years of your eternal soul must be working for Scientology. I was basically hauled in and told that my mom had attacked the church and that I needed to disconnect from her because she was suppressive. Her mother had denounced Scientology on French TV after her ex-husband, Albert Jacquer, committed suicide. A self-made millionaire, his last days were spent in poverty, and in a diary he kept, he blamed the Church of Scientology for fleecing him of his fortune. And that's actually a very, very common practice with the Church of Scientology, is they latch on to extremely rich people and start siphoning away their money. Miss Paris says the church was so worried her mother would take her away that Mr. Miscavige intervened, ordering she be taken to the church's cruise ship, the Free Winds. He decided the ship, and I found out 2 hours before my plane left. I was woken up in the morning, and I was sent to the ship for 2 weeks. Miss Paris says she was held on the Free Winds against her will and ended up on the ship for 12 years. I did not want to be there. I made it clear I did not want to be there, and that was considered bad ethics, meaning it was considered not right. They take your passport when you go on the ship, and you're in the middle of an island, so it's a bit hard to escape, and by that time I was 18. I've been in Scientology my whole life. It's not like I knew how to escape. The Free Winds is used as a base to deliver Scientology's highest level counseling course known as Operating Thetan Level 8. It cruises around the Caribbean, docking at small islands. The church says ships have religious significance to Scientologists because its founder, L. Ron Hubbard, had researched and administered the first operating Thetan levels aboard a ship. A Scientology promotional video says a ship stands at the forefront of a growing worldwide movement towards spiritual advancement, transporting Scientologists to new realms of freedom. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? The fuck? But for Valeska Paris, there was no freedom on the Free Winds. She was not allowed off the ship for the first 6 years without an escort, and was forced to do hard labor in the engine room. The Church of Scientology in the U.S. refused to be interviewed for this story. The lawyer sent Lateline a letter threatening legal action over a breach of confidentiality agreement between the church and Miss Paris. In a statement, the Church of Scientology said Miss Paris' claims are false. She certainly wasn't forced to be there. She was also never forced to perform labor in the engine room, the statement said. The Free Winds is a wonderful place, as even Valeska said on numerous occasions. Her allegation that she could only leave the ship with an escort is totally false. Valeska Paris left the Free Winds and she was sent to the Rehabilitation Project Force in Sydney. Scientologists described the RPF as a voluntary religious retreat. Defectors describe it as a punitive re-education camp. Yeah, that's a spooky way to frame it. It was here she met former St. George Rugby League captain Chris Guider, marrying him soon after and leaving the church. She says she would like to see the head of the Church of Scientology, the man who she says sent her the Free Winds, put on trial. It's not right for someone to be running around the church and basically take advantage of a church and hiding behind religion to live like a king and abuse people around him. That man doesn't like anyone. He's a psychopath. Savage. The Church of Scientology denies their leader, David Miscavige, sent Miss Paris to the Free Winds. When asked if this allegation was put to Mr. Miscavige, the church failed to respond. And just real quick before we move on, I wanted to share the response that the church actually sent that news organization. This is crazy. It's a bunch of bullshit mostly, but then it gets near the end, and their lawyers always sound so goddamn petty. Always so petty. That she now is attacking her former religion and former friends and fabricating these stories speaks volumes about her. She is a true apostate. So there is no doubt as to our position. Valeska is lying to you. She is an unreliable source. It would be wholly irresponsible for Lateline to broadcast these spurious and uncorroborated claims. It would do so at its own risk. Ooh, your source is doing this because she and Chris Guider apparently cannot get their life in order and move on. For them, it is sad. For ABC, it is dishonest to pretend this is a news story. Whew! Spicy.
Like it a little bit spicy, spicy.
So, again, the main reason for doing this video was, so we could have a little bit of collective
Schadenfreude.
Right. But also because I think it's important to remind people exactly how dangerous and how crazy the Church of Scientology actually is. And for that reason, I also like to every now and then make sure that I'm pointing people toward Ron Miscavige. Ron Miscavige is the father of David Miscavige, the dude who currently runs the Church of Scientology. And Ron escaped the church after being in it for decades. And Ron has his own YouTube channel where a lot of times he's interviewing people who have also left the church, doing it live. He and I have talked quite a few times, once on my channel, once on his, and he runs Life After Scientology. He also wrote a great book. I can't recommend it enough. I own a copy of it, and it's wonderful. So by all means, if you're interested in that kind of thing, really, really getting in deep into how really, really crazy Scientology is, these are some good resources. And of course, there's also Leah Remini's, her series that she's doing on A&E. There's a great documentary out there called Going Clear. Those are really good too. But yeah, I think I would be remiss if I didn't at least dedicate a video every now and then to remind you guys just what a giant piece of shit this organization is. Because it's not a religion. It's not a goddamn religion. It's a bunch of make-believe about fucking aliens from some long-dead fuckhead who is trying to evade taxes. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for your attention. Hope you are well. Hope your family's well. From mine to yours. See you again soon. Next time, all that crap. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.